Little Boy and Mr. Scary Snake by D.A. Graville. There comes a time in every little boy's and girl's life when he or she realizes that there are creatures whose malignant presence can be seen and felt. Little Boy lived with his mummy in a little house on a little hill in a little town called Little Village. Little Boy's mummy owned a pet snake. His name was Mr. Snake. Mr. Snake lived in his mummy's bedroom, and everyone believed him to be harmless. One night, Little Boy discovered something very odd about Mr. Snake. When Mummy was asleep, Mr. Snake would slide out of her room and slide into Little Boy's bedroom. Mr. Snake would then transform into Mr. Scary Snake and do scary things. "We have much mischief to do, and I have much to teach you," said Mr. Scary Snake. "If you try to tell anyone about me, no one will believe you." Little Boy knew that Mr. Scary Snake was very naughty, as it is not nice to go around scaring people at night. In the morning, Little Boy spoke to his mummy about Mr. Scary Snake. Cleverly, he pointed out that his friends Harry and Lily also had pets, and their pets didn't frighten them during the night. Harry had a tarantula, and it didn't order Harry about all night long. After listening to Little Boy's account of the night's event, Mummy made the common but honest mistake often made by grown-ups. She mistook Little Boy's fears for a nightmare. "Never mind, dear. You had a bad dream," Mummy said. "Off you go, or you'll miss the school bus." "I am not afraid of Mr. Scary Snake. I shall tell my teacher about rotten Mr. Scary Snake," said Little Boy to himself on the way to school. Little Boy decided to tell his teacher, Miss Nice, about Mr. Scary Snake. Miss Nice was very nice, but she was very busy reading to the classroom. "Miss Nice," said Little Boy, "Mr. Snake comes to my room at night and says things that make me feel scared." "There is no such thing as a talking snake. Now be a good little boy and go and sit down," said Miss Nice. "I will not be afraid of Mr. Scary Snake," said Little Boy as he sat down. Little Boy was in fact very afraid of Mr. Scary Snake. Each time the grown-ups sent him away, he became a little more scared. Little Boy was becoming more and more scared, not only of Mr. Scary Snake, but also of not being believed. Mr. Scary Snake did say that "I wouldn't be believed," thought Little Boy. Nevertheless, Little Boy was determined not to let Mr. Scary Snake get the better of him, and he decided to try to tell someone else. During dinner time, Little Boy bumped into the dinner lady, Miss Sweet. Little Boy started to tell Miss Sweet all about Mr. Scary Snake. "Miss Sweet," said Little Boy, "Mr. Snake is saying scary things to me." "You mustn't tell tall tales, Little Boy. There is no such thing as a taunting snake. Your imagination has been working overtime," said Miss Sweet. That same afternoon, Little Boy was playing in the school playground when he fell off the swing and hurt his knee. As Little Boy's knee started to bleed, Miss Sweet took Little Boy to see the school nurse, Miss Caring. Miss Caring noticed that Little Boy was not crying and did not seem at all concerned about his bleeding knee. "What is on your mind, Little Boy?" asked Miss Caring. "Mr. Scary Snake comes to my room at night and says scary things to me that scare me," blurted out Little Boy. He looked into Miss Caring's kind eyes and said, "No one believes me or even listens to me when I try to tell them, just as Mr. Scary Snake said they wouldn't." "Don't worry, Little Boy. I believe you, and if you like, I will try to help you," said Miss Caring. Little Boy was starting to feel a little better. "I will call my friend Constable Wise," continued Miss Caring. "All you have to do is tell him what you said to me. Constable Wise is a very nice bobby." Little Boy could not believe his luck at having found someone who believed him. "How does that sound to you, Little Boy?" asked Miss Caring. "I can do that," replied Little Boy. Upon sighting the policeman, Little Boy became afraid and unsure about what to do. "What if I talk to the bobby?" Little Boy thought, "and Mr. Scary Snake finds out that I told the truth to the bobby? Or worse, the bobby doesn't believe me and drags me off to prison." Little Boy walked over to the policeman. "Hello," said Little Boy in a very small voice. Constable Wise turned around and saw no one at first, but then he looked down and saw Little Boy. "Hello, hello, hello. What's going on here then?" said Constable Wise. It is at this time that a boy or a girl has to make up his or her mind about whether to be afraid or to be brave. Why is Little Boy afraid to tell the nice Bobby about Mr. Scary Snake? And what would you do? Little Boy took a deep breath, made himself strong, and blurted out his experience with Mr. Scary Snake. Constable Wise listened quietly without interrupting, and then he smiled and took Little Boy's hand. "Where is Mr. Scary Snake now?" asked Constable Wise. "I think the law would do well to pay this Mr. Scary Snake a little visit and perhaps have a few words with him." Little Boy, surprised that the bobby had listened to and believed him, almost forgot to be happy. Why do you think Little Boy decided to tell the policeman about Mr. Scary Snake? When Constable Wise and Little Boy neared Little Boy's house, Little Boy became very afraid and started to shake. Constable Wise, who had been holding Little Boy's hand all the way there, gave it a little squeeze, quickly followed by a reassuring smile. When they arrived at Little Boy's little house, they saw that the front door was open. Little Boy, almost knocking over the police constable, ran into the house. Terrified, Little Boy ran straight to his room, shut the door, and hid under the bed, just in case. In his bedroom, Little Boy could hear Constable Wise talking in the other room with Mummy. Little Boy, peeping out of his room, could hear Constable Wise giving Mr. Scary Snake a telling off. When Little Boy came out of his room, Mr. Scary Snake and Constable Wise were gone. Constable Wise had scared off Mr. Scary Snake. Mummy was sitting at the kitchen table, waiting for him with a huge bowl of ice cream. "I am sorry I didn't believe you," said Mummy. "I promise that from here on I will always listen to and believe in you." Mr. Scary Snake became Mr. Silly Worm and was never seen again. Little Boy and his mummy lived happily ever after.